I've had quite a wild journey because I know a lot of people have rebellion during teenage years. I did too. It's just that I moved continents all alone because we wanted more young people, especially women, to get into engineering and take on science, technology, engineering courses because we need the balance. Come on, because otherwise it'll be like a one-dimensional world which we're going to create. I think we all experience things, and sometimes I think often as women we are taught to go, oh, just let it go and ignore, like water down the inner voice saying, don't rock the boat, don't don't be too loud. Because fortunately for me as a child, I was encouraged to speak up. So just as we speak, you and I are speaking this very second, a rubbish truck full of clothes is dumping, waste into landfill.
Welcome back to Be Anomalous, the podcast for the misfits, the trailblazers, the cultural disruptors, and anyone bold enough to carve their own path. I'm Sai Menon, and today I'm joined by Priya Ravindra, founder of Punar, a sustainable and ethical brand rethinking textile waste and how we consume it. Priya's journey is anything but conventional. She grew up in India, moved to Australia to study engineering, and found herself in tech as one of the only women coding in the room. But what's powerful about her story is that she didn't just follow opportunity, she followed discomfort. During the pandemic, while the world was consuming more than ever, Priya started asking a simple but unsettling question: where does all of this go? That curiosity led her down a path into textile waste, circular design, and eventually into building Punar, a brand rooted in recycled materials, ethical production, and conscious consumption. In this conversation, we talk about what it means to build with values in a system that doesn't always reward it, why visibility and speaking up are non negotiable as a founder, and how staying flexible in execution can open doors you never planned for. This episode is for anyone trying to build something meaningful without losing themselves in the process. So let's get into it. Hi, welcome to Be Anomalous, Priya. I'm so happy to have you here. Before we dive into what you're doing right now, I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for having me, Sai. I think what you're doing is incredible and creating this platform for founders, because us passionate bunch of founders, I know we love platforms and storytelling and everything. So again, very grateful to be here having this conversation with you. A bit about me: my name is Priya Ravindra. I come from a small town called Mysore in India. However, I've had quite a wild journey because I know a lot of people have rebellion during teenage years. I did too. It's just that I moved continents all alone. So when I was a teenager, obviously we found out about Australian University and I just hopped on a plane, and fortunately with the blessings and support of my family and my parents, hopped on a plane and got to Australia, did my engineering. Although I did electronics and microengineering, never a single day I worked in electronics and microengineering sector. Just got thrown into the world of technology, IT. Basically, I was one of the very few girls who could code when I got into the workforce, and the only women on the entire floor who could code as well. So that's my journey. So to me, gender diversity, equality, and social impact, it kind of runs in the blood. So it's I'm not doing it just for the heck of it. I call myself an imperfect environmentalist because I think, look, we're all trying our best. So right now, after having my daughter, life took another turn. I started running my project management consultancy, and I have a beautiful not-for-profit client who are very supportive of Punar as well, by the way. It's just during COVID when we saw people just buying and just consuming. And I went down the path of, researching, saying, what's happening, with all these things that we buy, especially clothes, clothes every day, because what do? The world is in lockdown. You want to feel good about yourself. You buy something, which is all good. Look, we've all done that. It's just that curiosity, and I'm going, this doesn't look right, that feeling in your stomach going, what is happening? And then I just kind of followed that little clues and went down the rabbit hole of like, okay, what happens to textile waste? And what I found was just mind blowing. And that led me to start this brand, Punar. Initially, we just started off with loom, but now we do, like obviously work with for large scale production. I do work with SEDEX or Fair Trade certified factories, but still deal with like, very sustainable fabrics and make sure, products are made ethically, and always encouraging and educating our consumers to recycle, wherever possible, because every little bit makes a difference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, recycling and the importance of all of that, I think that's something that we can talk on for a long time. Um, one of the things that initially you mentioned that you were the first person, I mean, you were the only girl who was coding. And also the fact that gender equality and diversity runs in your blood. I want to know that you moved on from like a small town to Australia. And it seems like there wasn't much of that equality, that like you were the only girl who was coding. So even whether it was a small town or in Australia, it just kind of seemed like there wasn't much of a difference in terms of the equality aspect of it. So tell me, how did that shape your childhood, and why does that run in your blood?
Here's the thing. My mom's side of the family, many of them, at least majority of them, they're all academics, and very, the fairness aspect is not negotiable. And I was raised by two very strong grandmothers who like, okay, speak your mind, stand up for what you're right. So that's always been there, right, from our upbringing perspective. And my dad's side of the family, we are from a very beautiful, picturesque part of India called Kurg. That's right. The UN, heritage listed sites and all. And my dad's sort of family has coffee plantations, like running back to like hundreds and hundreds of years. It's still in the family. We still have a coffee plantation, still grow, coffee and spices. It's just that my dad's a lawyer, so he's not the actual farmer, but he does, take care of the legal side of things. So look, I think even as a child, seeing the first-hand effects of deforestation and farmers not being, paid for their efforts, and so all these kind of things, you hear stuff, you listen to the narratives, and also the values that the family brings in, right? Saying, look, you've got to respect everyone. Doesn't matter. Like everybody's on the field, whether it's a coffee picker to somebody, who's carrying the, the whole load. You've got to treat people with, sort of respect and kindness. The dignity, work is worship. Like, every work, we all come with different skill set, but all sorts of work matters, right? So I think that is where the concept of, like the social justice and, the concept of equality, knowing that just because you're a girl, you need to sit quiet and not voice your opinion.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Like, the world needs to be integrated. It's the divine masculine and feminine coming together, right? And that's the way the world works.
Yeah.
You know where I'm coming from? So that's how. So because with the childhood, and I always I'll go back to my grandmothers, right? Two very strong, in their own way, very strong characters. The way they always kept telling me, like, not go for it, speak up. And then he's like, put me in front of like the neighbors or whatever, saying, come on, share your story. What happened in the school? All these things that kind of gave me this innate kind of confidence and the courage, and then I'm knowing that, hey, guess what, I can do this, I can speak my mind. And but every little bit, little Priya didn't know at that time, was shaping me quietly in the background. And that's why as a teenage, girl, all alone, hopping on a plane and getting to Adelaide, doing engineering, and we were just 4 girls in a class of 70 other young men. right? Because it's engineering, there's hardly any. So that's when I was like looking around and I'm going, oh, hang on a minute. The gender imbalance, it's not a problem in India. I'm looking, this is a problem now in Australia too.
Yeah.
And like obviously, and I'm going, clearly, it must be happening everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Because I got to travel and I'm living here in Australia now, I'm seeing the realities of it. So that kind of made me realize that, hang on a minute, a lot of these things, they are global issues, not just your localized things. Sure, they manifest different locally, right? But the underpinning root cause is it's the same thing, the inequality and the lack of education, the awareness. Then I did a bit of this is me, right? I always love researching. Went on looking at the United Nations Sustainable Global Development Goals, and I just the curiosity, right? I mean, you're in university, you've got libraries and all. Why not just go look into things and just educate yourself to go? And that's when I realized it only not vindicated, but it kind of, I didn't want to come from a confirmation bias, but I wanted data. So that's when I digged in and I looked at a data, that's when it occurred to me what I was assuming was right. Basically, gender inequality, the injustice and then the pay gap and all, it's very much a global issue. It's not just to India or the South Asian countries or just Australia. So that kind of, the fire in your belly, I'm like, I'm not going to sit quiet. And what I did was worked with one of the professors at the university, Zoreka, a lovely lady, formed a little group, and we went around to high school teaching kids how to code. Oh, wow. Because we wanted more young people, especially women, to get into engineering and take on science, technology, engineering courses, because we need the balance. Come on, because otherwise it'll be like a one-dimensional world which we're going to create. So I hope that answers the question. So there you go. I think every instance, right, or every experience in my life, at that point in time, you don't think much of it, like what you do, how you get involved, or try and bring about that grassroots change. And we ended up getting the University Chancellor's Award 2 years in a row for community and education and community engagement. I didn't think much of that. And I'm saying, oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yes, I'm happy. But the whole goal was to get more, sort of young people and especially women into doing engineering courses. But when I get into workforce, what do I see? Same problem. Now once again, I'm working with HR or even my direct managers and saying, can we bring some interns, can we do this, can we do that? So what I have done is every place I've gotten involved, I've held the door open, gotten in young women who were interested in technology and stuff like that, just to come in and do, whether it's 2 months, 3 months kind of sort of little projects with that, get the glimpse of the world. And I'm so grateful I did that, because that's actually opened the doors to a few women who've gone on to take on IT career paths. So I'm not saying it's because of what I did. I was just playing my tiny role of holding the doors, open, right? And giving them a taste of what it's like. And then it's their own journey and, they've accomplished what they've accomplished. But I just feel grateful that I was able to play my little part. Yeah. So this is all the thing, So what I'm going to say here is that, look, I think we all experience things. And sometimes I think often as women, we are taught to go, oh, just let it go and ignore, water down the inner voice saying, don't rock the boat, don't don't be too loud. Because fortunately for me as a child, I was encouraged to speak up. Yeah. Always known as the loud one. Our whole families, it's the family of the loud bunch of girls. But because we were encouraged look what I'm doing today, because I still speak up and I'm like, hey, hang on a minute. No, that doesn't look right or that doesn't feel right. But I'm happy to speak up and give the other person an opportunity to explain their point of view. It doesn't mean, I'm expecting everybody to say yes to me. There's a difference. It's just about, honoring our intuition and then just speaking up and standing up for what is right and creating a space, because there's space for everybody in this world. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, that is so true. And I feel like this usually only happens with women where they're pitted against each other because they're sort of fighting for that one seat. But instead of keeping that one seat, why don't you open up more seats? Like, because it's always like you think, and I think this is, I don't remember who exactly said this, but in like boardrooms and stuff, because you always see that there's only one, woman in that room. But it's not that you fight for that room, you fight for more people, more women to be in that room. And I think often that's the issue, that women are always pitted against each other to fight for that. And that's not the case. We should all like stick together and fight to represent more women in more spaces.
Absolutely. Because imagine this, if every person is given the opportunity to bring their best skill to the table, what a beautiful world we'll be creating. Don't you think that? I mean, it's just,
Okay.
yeah.
So tell me, how did you start Punar?
Okay. Countless cups of chai and lots of days going, I don't know if I want to do this, because that's very normal. Let's be very real. And I'm going to be like brutally honest with you when I'm having this conversation, right? And I'm honest, like, because downright, people see this glamorous side of things. They think if you're a founder, you just rock up to events, do some launches, smile for some collab posts and then walk off posts. And what you don't see is sometimes the 20-hour days, work days, with 4 hours of sleep, countless, rejections, and being able to sort of not that you just get up and then keep going. And again, also going against the grain, basically not buying into the concept of business is war. Excuse me, no, it's not. Okay, let's be real. We're solving problems and we are helping people and organizations and just making this world a better place. Okay, it is not war. So for me, end of the day, it's collaboration that matters, right? So these are the things that happen in the background, not just the photo shoots and the social media you see, because you can vouch for that, right?
Absolutely.
It's that burning passion and belief in yourself that you are solving the problem and making a difference in the world that keeps us all going. So how it all started? It started with the curiosity and also that gut feeling of looking at countless clothes that were being bought during the pandemic, and everybody's wearing a new dress every single day, including, don't get me wrong, I was on the bandwagon too. And that's why I said I am the imperfect environmentalist, but it's just following that hunch, going, what is happening to all this waste? And I'm going, my goodness. So just as we speak, you and I are speaking this very second, a rubbish truck full of clothes is dumping waste into landfill. So can somebody explain to me, where are we going to bring more land? And you've already may have seen these, photos and videos going around. When you look from satellite images in the Atacama Desert, there's piles and piles of clothes and clothes washing up in beaches of Ghana, and they're having to deal with the textile waste, and so these are the realities. And that's when I just said nah, gotta do something. And what happened was, somehow during this time, I was already connected to women who were using the recycled yarn that comes from textile waste, and they were hand weaving, right? And making handloom fabrics, handloom's been around for thousands of years. That's fine. There's nothing new about it. What was so new here was they were using the recycled yarn, both post-industrial and post-consumer certified recycled yarn, and then making, like beautiful, beautiful kind of fabrics, mainly saris and some kind of thick materials. And that's when I was going, when you have the eureka moment, like going, I'm going, they're doing this. We got to investigate further. Maybe we can do, and, more about this. And that's when, during the pandemic, countless, sort of video calls and chiming.
Yeah.
And then talking to the makers as well, who are doing, the things and understanding a bit more. And then I decided to invest a lot of my time, money, and effort into developing just different types of fabrics to see, okay, what is even feasible? Because obviously my goal wasn't to make more saris. I was like, okay, what do we do? Things like, your tablecloths, your table runners, the throws, the cushion covers, the tea towels, the hand towels, is it feasible to make it with part of recycled yarn, and how is it gonna look, feel? Is it really gonna be is it gonna work at all, and that's when you got to try different fabric composition and different yarn composition, right? So, and I'm an engineer, but I come from electronics and microengineering, no knowledge of textiles at all. So had to constantly educate myself. What is GSM? What is the thread, strength and the length? What does it even mean? All these kind of things, right? So had to learn, had to educate myself, tried, failed miserably as well in the beginning. Many of the samples that they were not good. I didn't want to create yet another product that after one wash, you're putting it back in landfill. Can you tell me what's the purpose? So I didn't want to do that. So 6 months in, and I'm thinking, maybe I should just give up.
Yeah.
I seriously thought that. So I'm I should just give up. I don't know what's going on. And then, sometimes you go, fine. Well, maybe try just another, 1 or 2 more times and see what happens. And still another round of failure. But I told myself, this is it. I'm not going to go ahead. I'm done with this. And then, guess what happens just when you're about to give up? The fabric composition worked beautifully. And on top of that, the enterprise, the social enterprise I was working with, they're no longer existing because the government grants were pulled out. So they also recommended, it was going to get very expensive, but they said, let's do this, use bioenzymes and 0 finish. It'll be really soft. And also the longevity of the products, we promise you, that's going to be really good. So let's give that a go. And I'm like, fine, let's just try it anyway. And guess what? That's what the product that came out was so amazing.
Yeah.
My initial collection was nothing but tea towels or your hand towels in 4 different colors. It arrived in November 2022, about a month and a bit, early November, okay, month and a bit before Christmas. The small box got sold out. And that gave me the confidence to go, yeah, that's right, going, oh, okay, so looks like there is, there is a need. And not just that, we are doing something right. And that's how it all got started. And by March, when I saw there was sales and momentum, and also because, I was quite, the typical founder, right? Passionate founder, going around and yapping within my networks and, telling people what I was doing. And then, just to get a feel of people's interest. Will anybody buy these things? Do they even know what handloom is all about? And educating them. Endo to Spa, it's a beautiful, spa where they obviously, they provide beauty and therapeutic services for our women. And, here, they're all around Australia. The Camberwell branch where I live, the managers of that branch, right? They literally love the story so much. They go, whenever you're ready, doesn't matter. Here's our pre-order, put my name down, kind of thing. And I'm going, oh my God, that kind of gave me the push to actually place the larger order so that it could arrive, in Australia by November, and like the rest is history. So that's what happened. Yeah, it's been, a long road of ups and downs, acceptance and also rejections. And because I know we're not for everybody, and also us having to pivot, because I thought at first I'm just starting as a B2C brand. Then it became B2B because some of the event houses, wedding planners, and people, brides and grooms who are getting married, just started getting, interests and curiosity, and then question, and then hence the orders. And business owners, small medium business owners, right, enterprises, many of the women owners would place orders saying, you've got such beautiful product. When I'm giving Christmas gifting, I rather use your product as exactly. So that's how. And lovely Sarah Thompson from Online Social Butterfly, she helped me with the launch anyway. And she goes, why aren't you on LinkedIn and talking about it, pitching to B2B? So that again, so I'm forever grateful for the tribe, right, that came along in this journey. Otherwise, I don't think, I'd be here today. And just like yesterday morning, I found out and I got the confirmation that Punar product will be at one of the goodie bags, basically we'll be in the goodie bags at one of the private events during Oscars week.
Oh, wow.
So Amazon made global. I know it's a metric, right? But I'm damn proud of our artisans' work, and also very proud of just the representation, the visibility this is going to bring for us. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, that is such, oh my gosh, that's such an exciting moment. How did you go about doing that?
Okay, here's the thing for me, right? And I know quite often, look, I understand, to grow your business, you have to spend ad money. But for me, I was happy first few years, because Punar's just completed 3 years, to try other modes of growing, word of mouth, and my own personal brand, LinkedIn and networks and those kind of things. So I'm part of this female startup club founded by awesome Doon. She's Australian, but Doon's everywhere. But that's Doon for you, because when I say she's everywhere in the best possible way, she's connecting women, across the globe, and bringing everybody together, and literally lifting everyone together. And she also does shout out to businesses, sort of on every Fridays for zero money. All she asks is follow me and subscribe to my newsletter. And she's already done that to us so many times. I tell you, my forever love to do. So her newsletter had some information saying, shoot, shoot for stars. Here's it. There's an opportunity for gifting in Hollywood, during Oscars week, not the actual Oscars, even very transparent, but it is during the Oscars week, because Oscars week, there's so many private events that happen. I go, give it a go, send your pitch and you can do that. Here's the link. And I'm all I did was just follow the breadcrumbs. Okay, pitched. You just pitch, right? Because that's the founder life. Pitch, pitch, and pitch. And oh my goodness, within 24 hours, I had a response from US going, oh, yeah, we really love your story. Would love to have you in this. I'm going, what? Because I know you have to pay thousands of dollars to get in. But that wasn't the case. This was we love what you're doing. So yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I know. And I'm hang on a minute, is this real? Hey, is there some kind of a, digital or a cyber, thing here? have I ended up in kind of a wrong end of the internet or whatever? And I'm looking, I'm like, no, 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 everything looks real. This is actual real publicist. And I'm going, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then again, the typical cycle, right? Work, work, work. Make sure, look at the stock, like do all the thing, package it, pay all the tariffs and
Yeah.
everything, do all the stuff. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Like it is what it is. So we'll deal with the world how it is.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's okay because I know change is the only constant, and I'm anticipating incredible changes to come in this world because I believe in humanity. So anyway, having said that, so that's right. I did whatever I had to do from my end, and yes, goods have crossed continents and reached LA.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Exciting.
I am waiting for, there's a few more things that we need to do. And they're going to do socials as well. I'm just going to, sort of, again, that's why watch this space. There's going to be more announcements, photos, and typical me, the founder me, I don't think I can stop talking about it because end of the day, it's not the metrics. What I'm saying is it's that representation and, something that was handmade in India by women, and it's an ethical brand. We are now like, it's the visibility, right? Look.
Yeah.
The product speaks for itself. Yes. Yeah.
I think you tapped into something very important that we have to be our own salespeople. And this is a very hard thing for women to talk about their achievements or to, kind of brag about, so to speak. But it's not bragging. You have to be the salesperson. And that's something that you, in your journey, you kind of show that, like you have to go around and, do the sales and then figure out. And also one of the things that you mentioned that unless you speak to your customer, you don't know where your business is leading. So from B2C to B2B. So that's also a very key lesson that you just spoke about. Because till you speak and show your products to your customers, you don't know where or what your business model is.
That's correct. Because I still do the B2C, but then guess what? That really helps us in terms of trying and testing the product, getting the feedback, the visibility and all. But in terms of like, again, with the revenue channel, right? You need to do your math and see where is, where's the income or the revenue coming from so that you can create more jobs.
Yeah.
Again, I think a lot of time people get icky with sales. But I think you've got to understand that when you're giving value to someone and they're ready to give that, value back in return in the form of money or whatever, in the end, we're all elevating each other and we're also creating jobs. I mean, how good is that? Because I tell you, I have zero sales background, but what I'm good at, and I know this, is advocacy and, that fearless speaking, because I'm going to speak my mind. I'm not going to do it disrespectfully.
Yeah.
But I'll still speak my mind because I think every voice matters. And by speaking, this is how I've been able to kind of create the brand, the visibility, the integrity. And also, I have to thank the sisterhood I have, the other countless, of course, there's other men, who are founders. So we're all founders in the end. But mainly, like, I'm surrounded by a lot of women who are in business and, growing their own brand or brands, right? Like multiple brands. They're the ones that often, when you're going, oh my God, should I even do this? They give a kick behind your back, like little push.
You need that surrounding. You need the people who understand, what it is. Because being an entrepreneur, being a founder, it's not. It's extremely difficult. It's not easy, and you need that like-minded people to understand that there are days where you have to.
Oh yeah, there are days when you're going like, you know what? Yeah, exactly. And a compress capsule chai or like quietly crying in the corner.
Yeah.
Rejection after rejection. What happened, another way I was able to build brand trust and credibility, which I'm talking about now, is like to go and just go for gold and enter some of the awards, as long as you see the alignment, especially in terms of sustainability products, right? When there were, like this awards opening up, I was like, oh my God, I'm just, like I've just started. Not even completed like a year in business. Do I need to? And again, this is where, the tribe comes in the picture. Somebody else goes and puts your name in and they go, no, you're applying. You better apply. Girl, you better do that application. Why not? I've used your tea towel. It's like heaven. It's so beautiful. Like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting quietly? Like, you better put that application, right? And then you go like, because you're getting the ick, yeah? Like, that's the thing, right? Because you don't want to brag. You don't want to talk about yourself. You don't want to go, oh my God, should I? Could I? Like, what is this? And then when you get so much encouragement and the positive push, okay, fine. You know what? I'm going to apply anyway. And we were not even a 1-year-old business. Like, when we won our first Editor's Choice Award for the sustainable product. And that kind of like, shattered a lot of like, illusions for me, the stories we tell ourselves to keep ourselves, sort of the limiting beliefs. And it also occurred to me, I'm not responsible for my, picture that someone else is painting in their mind. If they want to say, I'm loud, and you all start talking about yourself, what do you think of yourself? Like, come on, just it's just one award, calm down kind of thing. And I just realized, but if I don't speak up, how are we going to create jobs?
Yeah.
How are we going to, sort of do more good in the world? And that actually like shifted my mindset. And like, I was like, whether you get the ick or not, I'm going to speak for myself, my makers, and India's like, textile legacy and heritage, bring up the transparency, and I could do it in a respectful way. And that's all I've been doing, because I don't believe in creating further division or polarization in this world, which already is. What we need is unity conscious. So that's how I still stand for my values, but I do it in a different way. But it hasn't been easy. And I tell you again, whether it's going for those, award applications or thing, battling that, sort of tiny voice in your head too, not just, like the trolls on the internet, but the tiny voice in your head that he goes, are you sure? Like, should you be doing this? But you just go, yes, I will be doing this, because, there's a greater impact, that's going to come about if I do this. And
Yeah. What advice would you have for founders or, people who are trying to find their unconventional or follow their unconventional path?
Okay. First is like, I completely believe there's space for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
However, in order to make it work in this real world, yes, we have to have some kind of the vision must remain, but how you get there, I always say, please be flexible. Your Facebook ads, sure, if that's what works for you, go for it. Or like, you want to do it on LinkedIn, go for it. But it's very important to have a few strategies of like, how you're going to execute. Vision can stay firm, but like for example, you see, I started as this B2C e-commerce brand, and look where we are, and amazing things that we're able to do, because I was flexible when it came to the execution, right? And also collaborating with people rather than, viewing business as some kind of a war zone and, everybody as your enemy. Gone are the days. Look, it's not going to work. You need to, so no matter how uncomfortable it is, we need to speak. And if you don't want to speak, then you need to probably find people who are willing to be, whether it's your co-founder or ambassadors, who will speak for you in the rooms where you're not even present. Because without visibility, tough luck, your business is not going to grow. And also be very clear whether you want to be fast overnight. There is no overnight, but what I'm saying is, relatively, like, you want to be like a fast growing company, or are you willing to try and test a few things, and then maybe 2-3 years down the track, sit down and get ready for large volume scaling. So there's many ways of going up, building a business, right? There's no right or wrong way, but you have to choose what's right for you, looking at your current situation, because end of the day, we all have like families and all these other commitments too, right? I'm very conscious of that. So I'm asking people to be delusional about like the vision. Be delusional about your vision, saying, yes, you're gonna achieve your vision. Be delusional about the confidence you have in yourself. Believe in yourself, but please be flexible when it comes to execution, and do it with the tribe. Because when you do it with the tribe, it's such a joyful experience, and it's worth all the the knockbacks and the knockdowns and the crawls and the rejections and everything. Yeah.
What were some of the mistakes that you made throughout this journey?
Oh, I had like plenty of sort of scars behind my back, right? So one of the things I can talk about is there a beautiful client. We were meant to get the gifts delivered for Christmas time, and although we had kept like about 2.5 weeks worth of contingency, no, didn't work out. All the so literally the products came sometime in Jan.
Oh.
So yeah. Don't get me started in terms of the dark days of experience, because this is a paying client and they're expecting their product for Christmas. But fortunately, because I was upfront and very transparent, they were so kind, turned around and they said, because they had other things to give to their staff members anyway. So when the products arrived in Jan, we were able to use it as a new year, welcome back gift for everybody. And it still worked.
Okay.
But that was, as a new entrepreneur, I thought that's the end of my brand, and like we are not gonna stand for anything anymore, so but I learned this lesson that, look, if you speak your truth, people are actually a lot compassionate and kind than we credit for. Because I think we're just kind of, the world, I think there's a lot of unlearning that we need to do. We always see like, oh my God, no, the stress, the pressure, the competition, it has to be on time, it has to be perfect. But then we're humans. We are going to make mistakes. I made a big one, but my client was very kind, right? So just go. So I think, but you need to speak your truth. And then you need to able to just sort of, connect to people at a human level, and then ask for grace and forgiveness, and we're still here, we're still operating, so must have done something right. So there you go. So that was one of the can you imagine month's money and not delivering the product on time, but that's happened. So just because it's out of our control. And I've also had situation where the consignment went missing, despite of having your insurance and the tracking and all. Mind you, no matter what you do, that's only going to cover a part of it, not the for months. And then it showed up. So that means instead of the Black Friday, I always call it the Impact Friday, because it goes against our brand ethos. So we don't call it the Black Friday sale. For us, it's impact. So I always encourage people to buy from brands, not just us, brand like ours, similar to ours, where it's sustainable, ethical, and it's making a difference in the world. So if we're spending money, say if you have 10 things to buy, why can't two products be from your independent, ethical, sustainable brands? So that's why I was like, I was meant to run the Impact Friday campaign, went down the drain, and literally it showed up probably correct, maybe like the week before that, like the whatever they call the Cyber Monday or the Black Friday week. But what can you do? That is life. You just have to, and then you just go with the flow. You still do what you can within the given window, but there's always things that happen which is beyond our sort of control. So but you just have to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Priya. It's been such a great conversation. We always end our conversation with your favorite book and a favorite quote that has changed your life.
Yeah. My favorite quote is from Rumi, because the saying that goes, everything you seek is inside of you.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That's so powerful. Yeah.
above, so below. So that's just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I loved Atomic Habits,
Mm.
because I think we all have grand plans and grand visions, what we want to do it in a year, and how we can sort of and as we should all be ambitious, right? But I think change is hard. Let's be real. It's very, very hard. And I think this is where Atomic Habits was so it kind of like shifted again, that narrative and the lens for me. I just needed to unlearn a few things. So that was one of uh, an incredible book that literally changed my trajectory, let me tell you, because I also have endometriosis. So I've battled a lot of health issues because of endometriosis and women's health, right? Like, yeah, it only took us 11 years to get diagnosed, and things like that. So I was in a very difficult space and time in my life. But yeah, obviously Atomic Habits made a big difference, sort of going, I don't need to do, gigantic things. It's just that little shift collectively. Now, when I look back, oh my goodness, look how far I've come. And so that's just something which really really kind of stood with me. But other than that, same as look, I do read a lot of fiction. Blot on the Landscape is also being turned into TV series by Kevin. Yeah. I love a lot of comedies, but the
Yeah.
satire. Yeah.
You just made that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's so
Yeah.
also business book wise, I do read a lot of business books, which many it's behind what you've got, sort of becoming Michelle Obama. And then I really looked up Indra Nui, because when I was growing up, I mean, she was the only one we could, in terms of someone like us, right? You're
Yeah.
going, oh my god, so you can be that, you can be the C-suite exec, and still have a family and things like that. So I admire her deeply. So yeah, there you go. That was just yeah.
Oh, awesome. On that note, I loved your quote and the books. I mean, they're all so impactful. The quote, I feel like everything from within, it's all that you have to be focused on is yourself. And it has taken me years to figure that out, because every time you do things, you seek that validation from outside, and that is not a great way to live, because that really holds you back in so many different ways. So thank you so much, Priya, and thank you so much for doing such great things. And also congratulations, it's such a big win. Cannot
Thank you.
wait for you to be represented in and have, I mean, this is going to be just a stepping stone. You're going to do such great things, and I can't wait for that.
Can I say this? I think we are going to do great things together, all of us. I think each and every one of us. So I really love what you're doing. So thank you for the opportunity. It's such a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That was Priya. What really stayed with me from this conversation is how powerful curiosity can be if you actually listen to it. Priya didn't set out to build a sustainable brand. She followed a question that didn't sit with her right. Where does all the waste go? And instead of ignoring it, she let that question lead her into research, into discomfort, into an entirely new industry she knew nothing about, and eventually into building something that now has real impact. And I think that's the part we often overlook. We're always waiting for clarity, for the perfect plan, for the moment where everything makes sense. But sometimes the only thing you need is that initial pull and the willingness to trust yourself enough to follow it. Priya also reminds us that self belief is extremely important. She kept going and kept believing in herself. That's what building something real looks like. If this episode stayed with you, share it with someone who's sitting on an idea, a question, or feeling they haven't acted on it yet. Because maybe that curiosity is actually trying to lead you somewhere. So, until next time, this is Sai Menon. Be bold, be real, and be anomalous.